playoffs. That's what helps you win. I know. I think over the last couple of years, we've we've played really good baseball in the postseason. We've done it two very different ways. Obviously, incredibly bullpen heavy in 24 and 25, very starting pitcher heavy. I think a lot of it comes down to performing well in big spots. Having a group of guys that really believe in each other.
The Los Angeles Dodgers front office is working overtime, and what just leaked might be the most electrifying trade scenario of the entire offseason. Forget everything you thought you knew about the Dodgers offseason plans, because an MLB insider just unveiled a 3-team blockbuster that could completely reshape the reigning World Series champions roster before spring training even begins. This isn't your typical rumor mill speculation or hot stove clickbait. This is a fully detailed, meticulously constructed trade proposal that has Dodgers fans simultaneously excited and terrified about what they might have to give up to keep this championship window wide open. The mastermind behind this trade bombshell is none other than Anthony Santoro from MLB.com, who dropped this nuclear weapon of a proposal on Thanksgiving Day in an article titled 7 Ridiculous Trades We'd Like to See. Now, before you dismiss this as just another writer's fantasy baseball exercise, understand that Santoro didn't just throw names on paper and call it a day. He methodically broke down why each team involved would actually consider pulling the trigger on this deal, examining the motivations, needs, and strategic thinking that would make this trade beneficial for all parties. And when you dig into the details, this thing starts making way more sense than you'd initially think. The centerpiece player coming to Los Angeles in this scenario is Boston Red Sox outfielder Duran, a name that should immediately get Dodgers fans' attention for multiple reasons. First and foremost, Duran is a California kid through and through. He played college ball at Long Beach State, meaning he's intimately familiar with Southern California baseball culture and would essentially be coming home to play for the team he probably grew up watching. There's something poetic about that, and if you've followed baseball long enough, you know that hometown connections often translate into extra motivation and performance on the field. Players who get to represent their home region tend to play with a chip on their shoulder and something to prove to everyone who watched them grow up. But sentimentality aside, let's talk about what Jarren Duran actually brings to the table as a baseball player, because this is where things get really interesting. Duran is the quintessential modern baseball player, someone who embodies the power-speed combination that every team in baseball is desperately trying to find. During the 2024 season, Duran put together the kind of campaign that turns heads across the league, slashing respectable numbers at the plate while showcasing elite-level athleticism in the outfield. He collected an impressive 159 hits over 620 at-bats, demonstrating the kind of consistency you want from an everyday player. He also swiped 24 bags on the base paths, proving he's a legitimate threat every time he reaches first base. The defensive versatility Duran provides cannot be overstated when considering what the Dodgers need right now. This guy can patrol center field at an elite level and even received Gold Glove consideration for his work in center during previous seasons. The Dodgers saw firsthand during their championship run how crucial elite outfield defense is, especially in October when every run matters and every defensive play can change the complexion of a game. Duran has the range, instincts, and athleticism to cover massive amounts of ground in the outfield, turning would-be extra base hits into routine outs. He's also proven capable of playing left field, though his time at Fenway Park's notoriously tricky Green Monster didn't showcase his skills as effectively as his center field work has. Now here's where this proposal gets absolutely wild and where Dodgers fans might start sweating a little bit. To acquire Duran, Los Angeles would be shipping out not one, not two, but three highly regarded prospects from their farm system. We're talking about Josue De Paula, ranked as the Dodgers' number 2 prospect in most organizational rankings. We're talking about Jackson Ferris, the number 6 prospect, who many scouts believe has legitimate middle-of-the-rotation starter potential. And we're talking about Chase Harland, the number 18 prospect, who represents organizational pitching depth that championship contenders desperately need. That's a substantial haul of young talent walking out the door, the kind of package that would typically land you a bona fide superstar in today's trade market. But wait, there's more complexity to unpack here because this isn't a simple two-team swap. The Red Sox aren't just taking those Dodgers prospects and calling it a day. In this three-team construction, Boston would be flipping those prospects plus one of their own to the Minnesota Twins in exchange for right-handed pitcher Joe Ryan, a guy who's quietly been one of the more underrated starting pitchers in baseball over the past few seasons. Ryan represents exactly the kind of mid-rotation stability that contending teams covet. Someone who can eat innings, limit damage, and give you a legitimate chance to win every fifth day. For the Red Sox, who just made a massive move to acquire Garrett Crochet and are clearly positioning themselves to compete in the brutal American League East, adding another quality arm like Ryan makes perfect strategic sense. The Minnesota Twins, meanwhile, would be loading up on prospects in this scenario, receiving not only the three Dodgers prospects, but also Marcus Phillips, Boston's 11th ranked prospect, and a right-handed pitcher with intriguing upside. For a Twins organization that seems perpetually stuck between competing and rebuilding, this kind of prospect haul could represent a strategic pivot toward building for the future while simultaneously addressing their organizational pitching depth. It's the kind of trade that could set them up nicely for a competitive window 3 to 5 years down the road. So let's address the elephant in the room that every Dodgers fan is probably screaming about right now. Are the Dodgers giving up more value than they're receiving in this trade? At first glance, absolutely yes. When you compare what Los Angeles is surrendering versus what they're getting back, it definitely feels like they're paying a premium price for Jarren Duran. The Red Sox are essentially giving up Duran and a lower-tier prospect and receiving an established major league pitcher in Joe Ryan, while the Dodgers are gutting a significant portion of their farm system depth for a player who, while talented, isn't exactly a household name or perennial all-star. From a pure prospect-for-prospect value assessment, Boston appears to be getting the better end of this stick, no question about it. But here's where the championship contender calculation comes into play, and this is absolutely crucial to understanding why the Dodgers would even consider making this move. When you're the reigning World Series champions and you've got a roster stacked with talent like Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Tyler Glasnow all in their prime or near prime years, you're not building for 5 years from now. You're building for right now. You're trying to maximize every single season of elite production from your superstar core, and that means sometimes you have to overpay in prospect capital to acquire the pieces that can help you win immediately. The Dodgers have proven time and time again under Andrew Friedman's leadership that they're willing to be aggressive when they believe a move can help them win championships, even if it costs them future assets. Consider also the context of what alternatives the Dodgers are facing in their quest to upgrade the outfield. The free agent market has been picked clean of the top-tier options, with Trent Grisham accepting the qualifying offer from the Yankees and removing himself from consideration. Kyle Tucker, the Houston Astros superstar outfielder, would presumably cost even more in trade assets and comes with only 1 year of team control before hitting free agency, making him a much riskier acquisition. Cody Bellinger remains a possibility, but his recent performance volatility and significant contract demands make him far from an ideal solution. When you look at it through that lens, suddenly paying a premium for a 29-year-old Duran, who provides elite defense, speed, power potential, and versatility, doesn't seem quite as outrageous. Let's talk about what Duran accomplished during the 2024 All-Star Game, because this moment perfectly encapsulates the kind of star power potential he possesses. Duran was named the All-Star Game Most Valuable Player after taking Cincinnati Reds pitcher Hunter Greene deep for what turned out to be the game-winning home run for the American League. He earned that Crystal Bat trophy, cementing himself as someone who can rise to the occasion on baseball's biggest stages. That kind of clutch gene is exactly what championship teams are looking for. Players who don't shrink when the lights get brightest, but instead seem to elevate their games when it matters most. The Dodgers experienced that kind of October magic throughout their championship run, and adding another player with that competitive fire could be invaluable. Now, let's dig into some of the statistical details that paint a more complete picture of what Duran would bring to Dodger Stadium. His StatCast page from the 2024 season shows a player with legitimate tools across the board, even if not every metric shows up in the elite red zones. His average exit velocity was solid, his bat speed metrics were excellent, and most importantly for the Dodgers' needs, his sprint speed ranked among the elite in baseball. The speed component cannot be overstated because the Dodgers, despite all their offensive firepower, weren't necessarily a team that consistently manufactured runs with their legs. Adding someone who can steal 20-plus bases, take the extra base on hits, and pressure defenses with their speed fundamentally changes how opposing pitchers and defenses have to approach the Dodgers lineup. The versatility factor deserves its own deep dive because this is where Duran could provide the most value beyond just his individual statistics. The Dodgers have built their recent championship teams on positional flexibility with players who can competently handle multiple positions and allow the coaching staff to optimize matchups on a game-by-game basis. Duran can play center field at a Gold Glove caliber level, which means he could spell Andy Pages when needed or take over the position entirely if the Dodgers decide to shift their defensive alignment. He can also slide over to left field without issue, creating even more flexibility in how Dave Roberts constructs his daily lineups. That kind of defensive versatility is gold for a manager trying to navigate the 162-game grind while keeping players fresh and exploiting favorable matchups. Offensively, Duran's profile fits beautifully into what the Dodgers love to do at the plate. He posted a .332 on-base percentage in 2024, which is respectable if not elite, but that number combined with his speed makes him a nightmare for opposing pitchers once he reaches base. The Dodgers have proven over multiple seasons that they're elite at maximizing offensive value from players who can get on base and create havoc on the base paths. Duran would slot perfectly into the 6th or 7th spot in the batting order, providing a secondary catalyst that can jumpstart the bottom of the lineup and create additional scoring opportunities. It's worth noting that while he did strike out 169 times in 2024, which is admittedly a high number, strikeouts are less concerning when accompanied by power and speed production. One concern that has to be addressed honestly is that Duran did experience a statistical dip in certain categories when comparing his 2024 season to his breakout 2023 campaign. His batting average, on-base percentage, slugging percentage, and OPS all declined year over year, which naturally raises questions about whether 2023 was an outlier or whether 2024 represents a concerning trend. However, context matters tremendously here. Duran dealt with some injury issues during the 2023 season that limited his playing time, and when you project his pace numbers from that season across a full year, they align relatively closely with his 2024 production. The power is real, the speed is real, and the defensive ability is real. Those aren't fluky skills that disappear overnight. The fit from a personality and cultural standpoint also matters, even if it's harder to quantify with statistics and metrics. Duran is coming back to his home state, which historically has been a factor that motivates players to perform at their highest levels. There's something special about playing in front of family, friends, and the community that watched you develop as a player. The Dodgers have also proven to be masters at maximizing player potential with their player development infrastructure, data analytics, and coaching consistently turning good players into great ones and great players into superstars. If anyone can unlock another level in Duran's game, it's the Dodgers organizational machine that has produced so much success over the past decade. From a financial perspective, this trade becomes even more appealing for the Dodgers because Duran recently signed a very team-friendly contract extension with the Red Sox to avoid arbitration. He's not going to break the bank or hamstring the Dodgers' financial flexibility moving forward, which is crucial given their already substantial payroll commitments to their superstar core. Getting a quality everyday player at a reasonable price point while your championship window is open is exactly the kind of value play that the Dodgers front office has built their reputation on executing. They're not afraid to spend money when necessary, but they also excel at finding value plays that maximize return on investment. Let's talk about how Duran would actually fit into the day-to-day roster construction, because this is where the move starts making even more practical sense. The Dodgers acquired Alex Call at the trade deadline, a right-handed hitting outfielder who can provide quality at-bats and solid defense. Pairing Call, who hits from the right side, with Duran, who hits from the left side, creates a natural platoon situation that allows the Dodgers to optimize matchups based on opposing pitching. On nights when they're facing a tough right-handed starter, Duran starts in center field and provides that left-handed power threat. When they're facing a left-handed starter, Call gets the nod, and you slide Teoscar Hernandez or another outfielder into a different spot in the defensive alignment. The depth chart flexibility this creates is remarkable when you really think it through. Andy Pages had a fantastic regular season, but struggled mightily in the postseason, which naturally creates some uncertainty about what to expect from him moving forward. Having Duran on the roster means you're not completely dependent on Pages bouncing back or maintaining his regular season production levels. You can give Pages occasional days off to keep him fresh. You can spell Teoscar Hernandez when his legs need rest, and you essentially have 4 quality outfield options to work with rather than being thin at the position. Depth wins championships, and this move would give the Dodgers enviable depth in the outfield. There's also Ryan Ward lurking in the minor leagues as an intriguing power-hitting prospect who could potentially contribute at the major league level next season. Having Duran on the roster doesn't block Ward's development path because there are always going to be at-bats available on a team that plays 162 games plus potentially another month of playoff baseball. Ward could get called up, get quality playing time, and develop into a valuable contributor while Duran handles the everyday duties. That organizational depth from top to bottom is what separates championship organizations from pretenders, and this trade would enhance rather than diminish that depth at the major league level. Now, if we're being completely honest and objective about evaluating this trade proposal, there is a legitimate argument that the Dodgers should try to negotiate a slightly better return package before pulling the trigger. If you're giving up your number 2, number 6, and number 18 prospects, while the Red Sox are only including their number 11 prospect alongside Duran, that imbalance suggests there might be room to extract a bit more value from Boston. Perhaps the Dodgers could push to keep Jackson Ferris in the organization while still including DePaula and Harland, or maybe they could negotiate for Boston to include an additional mid-tier prospect to balance out the value proposition. The goal isn't to kill the trade, but rather to ensure the Dodgers aren't overpaying more than necessary to accomplish their objective. The historical context of Dodgers-Red Sox trades adds another fascinating layer to this entire discussion because, let's be honest, these two franchises have some history when it comes to blockbuster outfielder trades. The article specifically references this as a mini Mookie trade, calling back to when the Dodgers acquired Mookie Betts from Boston in that franchise-altering blockbuster that helped deliver a World Series championship to Los Angeles. While Duran obviously isn't Mookie Betts in terms of superstar caliber, the parallels are intriguing. Both are elite defensive outfielders with power-speed combinations coming from Boston to Los Angeles in pursuit of championship glory. If Duran can provide even a fraction of the impact Betts has delivered, this trade would be an absolute home run for the Dodgers. Another factor working in favor of this trade actually happening rather than just remaining a fun thought exercise is that we have concrete evidence of the Red Sox's interest in Joe Ryan. During the trade deadline last season, there were legitimate reports from credible insiders suggesting the Red Sox were pursuing Ryan before those rumors were ultimately shot down as inaccurate. But where there's smoke, there's often fire, and the fact that Boston's front office was at least exploring the possibility of acquiring Ryan suggests they value him as a player who fits their organizational needs. That pre-existing interest could be the catalyst that makes this 3-team construction actually feasible if all parties return to the negotiating table with renewed motivation. From Minnesota's perspective, as the third team in this proposed deal, the calculus is pretty straightforward. They'd be cashing in Joe Ryan, who's a quality major league pitcher but not an untouchable ace, for a package of 4 prospects that would significantly boost their farm system depth. The Twins have found themselves in an awkward competitive position over recent seasons, good enough to compete for playoff spots, but not quite good enough to make deep October runs. Sometimes the smartest organizational move is to take a step back, restock the farm system with quality young talent, and position yourself for a more sustainable competitive window in the coming years. This trade would accomplish exactly that objective while also clearing some payroll space in the process. Let's address what this trade would mean for the Dodgers' championship aspirations in 2025 and beyond, because that's ultimately what matters most. The Dodgers aren't making moves just to make moves or to win headlines. Every transaction is calculated with one primary objective: winning World Series championships. Adding Duran to a roster that already features Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, and a loaded starting rotation creates even more offensive depth and defensive versatility. The 2024 championship team succeeded in large part because they had contributions from up and down the roster, not just from their superstars. Duran would be another high-quality contributor who can help carry the load over 162 games and then elevate his game in October when championships are won. The timing of this potential move also matters significantly because championship windows don't stay open forever, no matter how talented your roster might be. Freddie Freeman is in his mid-30s, and while he's still producing at an elite level, Father Time remains undefeated. The Dodgers need to maximize every season they have with their current core intact, which means being aggressive in pursuit of upgrades even if it costs prospect capital. Those prospects might develop into quality major leaguers in 3 to 5 years, but the Dodgers need production right now in 2025 while their window is wide open. That urgency justifies paying a premium price for a player like Duran who can contribute immediately. There's also something to be said about the competitive landscape of the National League and how this trade would position the Dodgers relative to their primary competitors. The Philadelphia Phillies remain loaded with talent and are clearly in win-now mode. The Atlanta Braves, despite their injury setbacks, still possess one of the most dangerous cores in baseball. The New York Mets are spending aggressively and trying to build a championship contender. In that environment, standing pat and hoping your current roster is good enough feels like a risky strategy. Being proactive and adding a player like Duran, who addresses specific needs, makes the Dodgers even more formidable and puts additional pressure on their NL rivals to match their level of aggression. The final consideration that shouldn't be overlooked is simply the entertainment value and fan engagement that comes from making a move like this. Dodgers fans are spoiled with talent, but they're also incredibly knowledgeable and engaged with their team's roster construction decisions. Adding a player like Duran, who brings speed, athleticism, and highlight reel defensive plays, gives fans something new to get excited about. In a market as demanding as Los Angeles, where expectations are sky high every single season, keeping the fan base energized and engaged matters. This would be a splash move that generates buzz and excitement heading into spring training. So after breaking down every angle of this proposed three-team blockbuster, where does that leave us? The Dodgers would be giving up significant prospect capital, no doubt about it. They'd be paying what many would consider a premium price for Jarren Duran. But when you factor in his defensive versatility, his power-speed combination, his reasonable contract, his California roots, and most importantly, his ability to contribute immediately to a championship contender, suddenly the price tag doesn't seem quite as steep. The Dodgers have proven time and again that they're willing to be aggressive in pursuit of championships. And this trade proposal represents exactly that kind of bold, calculated aggression that has defined their organizational approach for over a decade. Championship teams don't build themselves by playing it safe and hoarding prospects hoping they eventually develop into major league contributors. Championship teams are built by identifying needs, finding players who address those needs, and then executing trades that maximize your competitive window while it's open. The Dodgers have a window that's absolutely wide open right now with their current roster construction, and adding Duran would only strengthen their position as favorites to repeat as World Series champions in 2025. So what do you think? Would you pull the trigger on this three-team blockbuster that brings Jarren Duran to Los Angeles? Is this the kind of aggressive move the Dodgers need to make to maximize their championship odds? Or are they giving up too much prospect capital for a player who isn't quite a superstar? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the wildest trade proposals of the offseason. and make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on, because we'll be covering every twist and turn of the Dodgers offseason as they continue pursuing their quest for back-to-back championships. This is going to be a wild ride, and you don't want to miss a single update.